prayer today is, Heavenly Father, on Thanksgiving Day, we bow our heads to you and pray. We give you thanks for your great works, especially for the gift of Jesus, your Son. For beauty in nature, your glory we see. For joy and health, friends and family. Amen.
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 On November 22nd, for the Department on Aging, I approved the hiring of Jacqueline Pavlik for the position of full-time recreation and education assistant to be effective December 9th, 2024, at the rate of $16.84 per hour with a one-year probationary period. The offer of employment was contingent upon the successful completion of the required pre-employment conditions.
Need a motion for minutes November 5th and 14th.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner
Aye.
Morning.
Good morning.
Still don't know.
So 4, 5, and 6 is for the snow plowing for this year. We have to get the PO open today, so we're going ahead of financials. So number 4, because of the way we worded the contract, I had to tweak the dollar amount for the awarded bid. So number 4, the maintenance department is requesting the board amend the motion from October 8th, 2024 to adjust the total contract amount to read $272,688.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Number 5, the maintenance department is requesting the board approve and execute the contract agreement with McCaskey Landscape and Design LLC for the 2024 through 2026 snow plowing services, salt and spring cleanup for the 2024 through 2025 season in the amount of $92,153, salt at $196 per half ton, and any spring cleanup. And for the 2025 through 2026 season in the amount of $95,375, salt at $196 per half ton, and any spring cleanup, with a total not to exceed amount of $272,688.
Make a motion to approve.
I second with a couple of questions.
Sure.
Could you explain the $196 per half ton? Because that's like 10 times higher than what the engineer's office buys it for, $40 to $45 a ton. What does that entail? Is that shipping, loading, shredding, what?
I couldn't tell you. If I had to guess, it's probably because we're not planning on using it. So they didn't quote us a very competitive rate for that.
How much salt did you use last year? We had the same snowplow company last year, right?
Right, yeah. I
How
couldn't
much-
tell you how much we used. I don't think we used any last year from them.
Any of their salt.
Right.
So that number, I would guess, includes their labor, their trucks, their delivery, so on and so on, right? They're not
Right.
buying it at $45 a
Yeah.
ton.
And it's definitely more than what we get at the maintenance department for salt, which I don't have that figure on hand, but I do know it's a lot lower than that as well.
Okay.
And that's mainly for what's, for like spreading on sidewalks and stuff, or is it still parking lots?
Just parking lots in the
Yeah,
event
okay.
that something happens and we can't get out there to do it.
You get there, okay.
Your crews is capable of spreading our own salt, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
More than capable.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
And number 6, we're just requesting the board accept the performance bond from McCaskey Landscape and Design for the 2024 through 2026 bond services and further release the bid bond.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Okay, today's financials include appropriations transfer from the engineer's office, moving general fund payroll appropriations into their general fund equipment account. And this was an appropriations that represents payroll that was moved to ARPA. I did reach out to Katie Taylor from the engineer's office. She called me back this morning. Apparently they are looking to purchase a scanner of some type for the tax map department. This is going before the ADP board at their next meeting. sounds like something that we would be having to make provisions to purchase anyways. It's a relatively small amount of the ARPA payroll that was transferred from the general fund. It's in the amount of $65,000. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. There's a supplemental de-appropriation from mental health in their capital reserve fund project contracts account. Among the other financials is a cash transfer from the general fund to the county engineers building fund to provide the 22.2% share of the funding that was requested for the construction of the new salt structure. And a transfer from the workers' compensation rotary fund to reimburse departments that paid into the 2019 and 2020 premiums as required by the state auditor before funds can be used for other safety-related expenditures. Among the encumbrances is the then and now encumbrance from the Commissioner's Office to Kimberly Bioni for appointed council fees for 2022 that were not previously encumbered. There's a then and now encumbrances from the Common Pleas Court to the Supreme Court of Ohio for assigned judges' fees and to the Office of the Ohio Public Defender for investigator fees from 2023 that were not previously encumbered. There's a travel encumbrance from the Common Pleas Court to attend the Ohio Common Pleas Judges Association 2024 Winter Conference, and a travel encumbrance from the dog warden to attend the CCAO Ohio Dog Wardens Association Conference, and a purchase order from Emergency Services to Daystar Ford of Garrettsville LLC for a new replacement 2024 Ford Ranger. Among the vouchers is $125,949 from the engineer's office to Ohio Machinery Company for a 2024 Caterpillar D3 XL track type tractor. And finally, 2 revenue certifications, one from Common Pleas Court Technology Fund for additional unbudgeted revenue received in 2024, and a revenue decertification from Mental Health in their Capital Reserve Fund from budgeted revenue that they will no longer be receiving in 2024.
Okay, so at the top you brought up the engineer's office and the discussion of returning the ARPA fund that was used for the payroll. Is that what you were talking about?
No, this doesn't involve returning those funds. This is within the general fund. This is the engineer's tax map department.
Okay.
So because we transferred the general fund payroll to ARPA, they had additional money left over in their salary line item. They want to, because they have this need for this scanner, which is probably a relatively rare expenditure, they would like to be able to use the general fund payroll appropriations that are left there in order to fund the purchase of that scanner.
Okay.
So we have encouraged all the departments within the general fund not to move any of those appropriations to other areas to expend them, because we are trying to amass that $10 million as much as possible in the general fund in order to transfer it to the capital reserve fund for the courthouse.
So just to back up, so when we made the resolution, what was it, over 45 days ago or longer, right? About the money that was taken out of ARPA.
Yeah, it was, I think, early October.
Okay. And where are we with that 30-day? I know it sounds like everybody that was dipping into that for their payroll has stopped doing that, which is
Correct.
Good to hear.
Yes.
But also part of that was to facilitate that money back to the account. And has there been any action or any movement in that?
I did reach out to Prosecutor Flace in regards to that. His initial response was that he believes that the resolution would be insufficient to compel those elected officials to return that money. I have some of those communications from him with me here. In addition to that overview that he gave me, he did indicate that his APAs were working on whether or not some of the affected departments had the legal ability to refund. He said we can't directly refund the ARPA fund, but he said it could be transferred to the general fund. he said, in regards to the real estate assessment fund and the ADP contract services fund, that, they would not be able to pay the, general fund for those monies that were transferred, to those payments for payroll that were transferred to the ARPA fund because of the, statutory restrictions on the money in both of those funds. He also got back to me on the clerk of courts for their certificate of title administration fund. And Sheila Bevington, who is the clerk of courts, has agreed to transfer the money that was expended by ARPA back to the general fund. So she is taking steps now to transfer the almost $66,000 that was transferred from her certificate of title administration fund to the ARPA fund.
So out of $1 million, we've got, that's roughly about 66,000.
So far,
So
yes.
far.
Some of the major funds, like the engineers road fund, he has not gotten back to me on his positions on.
And how much
that.
was in that one, do you think? roughly?
It was several $100,000 that would have been expended from
Yeah.
that one.
I mean, my feeling on it, although, you know, it's like the horse is out of the barn, and now that all of a sudden it's out, that it's statutorily not possible, or we're getting advice saying that you can't return it. To me, it should have never left in the first place. And that, to me, was highly unethical, is the way I see it. Now that they're refusing to return that money, I think you turned into an area where, yeah, it is illegal. It is illegal, and I think it needs to be reviewed legally if that money should be returned.
In the opinions that I've received from from Jim Flays, the prosecutor, one of the things that he has said,
I mean, was
in
Jim
each
Flace's
one-
office is one of the ones that received the payroll, correct?
yes,
So we're getting an opinion from the prosecutor who received the payroll.
yeah. He says, as an initial, and this is from his overview email that he sent me, as an initial matter, all payments made following the July resolution were lawful ARPA expenditures. However, the BOCC now seeks monies to be transferred to the ARPA fund in order to correct the unintended consequences of the July resolution. It just seems odd to me to use a term like unintended consequences when you're advising your client on
Right.
what to do here. It almost seems like it was,
I mean, I just find it highly suspicious that the money, all of it, went to departments or agencies that had no connection with the general fund in the payroll. Like, the intent of this, when we talked about this months and months and months ago, was mainly it was going to be chewed up through the sheriff's department and their salary, because they have the lion's share of the salary in accounting, and we'd be able to.
in the general fund.
In the general fund, and roll through that quickly.
Right.
And then, because this is really just an accounting game, it's a shell game, you're just moving money around, so you don't have to do paperwork, I think is what it comes down to, all this, right? I mean, to do the reporting back to the feds.
Yeah, I don't know what
Is that-
their,
is that the
I don't know what
offense?
all their motivations would be for it,
Yeah.
but,
But, I just find it interesting that, for example, ADP received that money. Now, I don't know how much, I don't think it was a terrible amount of money to ADP, but there was a request for additional appropriations for almost close to $800 and some thousand to continue on with these high salaries that they've been given out. To me, it seems like this is a way to backdoor for 2025, so they have additional appropriations rolling into 25 to continue on paying payroll. I don't know.
well, we did, and we're gonna be going over the permanent appropriations budget next week. So we'll be detailing, some of the cuts that, we made to the 2025 budget across the board in order to make sure that it was balanced. I mean, we do have.
I mean, not one single payroll out of general fund they didn't use it for, did we? Not one. I mean, all the payroll went to everything outside other than, say, the you know, the sheriff's office or even our departments under our ag authority?
No, all of the payrolls for all of the departments within the general fund
Mhm.
were transferred to ARPA with the exception of the courts
Yeah.
and maintenance. Maintenance and the courts were the two, I believe the courts were specifically eliminated from the ability to do this.
Mhm.
And maintenance, we felt, was not providing services directly to the residents of
Mhm.
the county. So, but all the other departments, except for those two in the general fund, had their payrolls transferred to ARPA.
Right.
So we will, I believe, as long as I can effect a transfer or a move of some appropriations within the ARPA fund in order to fully fund the salaries line item
Mhm.
in there, I believe that we will be able to use the full 10 million,
Mhm.
with hopefully getting some of that money back from
Right.
the remaining.
Well, I would
funds.
hope that this board in 2025, when budgets come around, to remember this, and that you do not go ahead and give additional payroll requests, you know, because they have it in their accounts, so.
Yes.
you
And I believe,
if
you
that
know,
money
this
doesn't
should
come
be
back-
something that we probably make the state auditor aware of when they do the 2024
Yeah.
audit.
I mean, you can see, if you can read between the lines, you can see there was some intent there, so. All right. You know, I'm hesitant to approve any financials until, on those particular ones, until we start getting some of that money returned. I don't see anything on here today that's specific to it, but, you know, I think until that's taken care of and cleared up, and that money either is, you know, brought back here, I would have a hard problem moving forward with financials for those particular ones, so. But I'll make a motion for financials for today.
Second?
Commissioner Warren?
Yes?
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Thank you.
One more?
Are you Santa?
Are you
No.
Santa Claus?
I don't think so.
Sorry, you skipped number 8 there, Shane, sorry.
Here for a minute.
Calm down.
Hi, I'm Amanda Eberhardt. I'm from Homestead Senior Care. So I'm here to talk a little bit about Homestead and our Via Santa to a Senior program. So Homestead is a home care company who's been providing services to seniors in Geauga County for almost 20 years. And we also provide the Via Santa to a Senior program, which there are trees, gift trees located in this particular lobby, Chesterland Giant Eagle, Buckeye Chocolate, they're all over the county. And if anyone would like to pick up one of the ornaments and provide a gift to a senior, usually the seniors that we deliver to will not see anyone over the holidays, so it is a nice little, and we try and dress up, not necessarily in, you know, the ugly Christmas sweaters, but we try and be very festive when we visit. Our visits can last anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, and the gifts that are provided are usually, they could be a gift card, it could be blankets, socks, they're very basic items that the seniors need, lotions, things like that. So we do appreciate the Department on Aging, they help us out tremendously, especially Sandy McLeod, who is the director of the West Geauga Senior Center. She does an awful lot for us and the seniors in the county, and we do appreciate everyone's help here as well.
That's nice. Well, thank you very much for coming in today,
Yeah.
for sure.
Thank you.
It's so important it is. And, you know, with my parents, they've gotten to that age where we've had to utilize different services like Homestead for caregiving. You know, they become part of your family, really, so it's very, and again, it's just an important part. And then around holidays too, it can be super difficult too for the seniors, you know, that are alone and families going everywhere, so we appreciate the relationship with you, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, I'll make the motion.
Second?
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Resolution.
yeah. Here, Jimmy. Thank you.
that.
We got with all the commissioners.
Let's take the hours.
Okay. Oh, okay.
This to be in, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can trust us, Jason.
I'm wearing red, close enough. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Item number 9, the engineer's office requesting the board approve and execute resolution 24-197 to order the asphalt resurfacing of Auburn Road, County Highway 4, sections R through U in Shelby Township. The resolution also requests that the board approve and execute the title sheet with specifications for the same. And further, this resolution sets the bid opening for Friday, December 20th, 2024 at 10:05 a.m. The engineer's office using Bid Express. Notice of this bid will be advertised on November 28th and December 5th on the county website.
Okay, I make that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Thank you. Item number 10, the engineer's office requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the agreement to extend the contract execution date pursuant ORC 153.12 for Reineck Paving Incorporated for the asphalt resurfacing of various roads including Clay Street, County Highway 37, sections E and F, and Leggett Road, County Highway 33, section A, in Huntsburg and Montville Township, from December 31st, 2024, for an additional 30 days, up to including January 30th, 2025.
Okay, so moved?
Second.
Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Thank you. Item 11, County Engineer's Office requesting that the board approve and execute Resolution 24-198, appointing board member James W. Dvorak as Chief Executive Officer and certifying representative for the proposed asphalt resurfacing of Fairmount Road, County Highway 16, Section C through E in Newberry and Russell Townships, and further approve and authorize the Chief Executive Officer to execute the State of Ohio Public Works Commission application for financial assistance.
Okay, so moved?
Second.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Hey Shane, is that C and E, is that Fairmount from, what, Sperry all the way to
To
Auburn? Auburn? Yeah. Thanks.
And item 12, the engineer's office, similarly, board resolution 24-199, appointing Mr. Dvorak as CEO for Sperry Road, County Highway 12, sections B through G, in Chester, Newberry, and Russell, and further approve and authorize the CEO to execute the State Public Works Commission application for financial assistance.
Okay, so moved?
Second.
Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Ma'am?
Okay. Number 13, first up, the Planning Commission is requesting the board approve and execute the final plat for Chagrin Falls Park. It's a replat of sublots 850 through 858. It's going to create sublot 850R. Again, it's located in Bainbridge Township. The consolidated total is going to be .4132 acres. They were consolidating the lots so that the home doesn't straddle 5 lots as it does right now. And it was approved at the April 14th Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, I'll make the motion?
Second.
Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
And second up is number 14, the Planning Commission is requesting the board approve and execute the final plat for Canyon Lakes Colony subdivision, replat of phase 14A and 14B. For sublots 360 and 378 is going to create sublot 360R. This is also located in Bainbridge Township. The consolidated total is going to be .4687 acres. And we'll just consolidate 2 sublots.
Okay, so moved?
Second.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Thank you.
We've got a couple of items. The first one is regarding the Board of Health. The Commissioner's Office has been pursuing a lease agreement to help the Board of Health pay rent for their space in this building. That's been going on for some time. Apparently, your office drafted a lease and sent that over to the Board of Health, and they sent it to my office to review. After discussing the matter with some other people in my office, we came to the conclusion that we have a conflict. Back in January of 2019, I facilitated a meeting between Jerry, Tim, and Tom Quaid, who was the director of the health board at the time. The purpose of me facilitating the meeting between the health director and the two of you was to see if we could get buy-in from the health department to move to this building. We had that meeting. I was present at that meeting.
At that time, did they want to move in here, or?
They didn't even know about the new building. This was a meeting to kind of try to sell them on it.
Okay.
So the health commissioner at the time, he was very interested in moving here, mostly for the proximity to some of the other services, including the hospital and Ravenwood. And my recollection of the meeting is that certain commitments were made by the county, your office, to the health department to get them to move into this building. And now, much after the fact, now that you're pursuing the health department to try to get them to pay for their space, I feel that if they don't want to pay for their space, that they could have an argument that they detrimentally relied upon the commitments that were made by you and Jerry in that meeting.
Well,
As I
what were
recall,
those commitments, Jim?
you never mentioned rent. My recollection.
That's not my recollection.
Okay, well, mine's better than yours, I think.
And I think, Dave Lair, were you at the meeting or no?
No, this,
No.
I think this is after our talk.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So, well, listen,
Okay,
hey, if
go
there's
ahead. Go
litigation,
ahead.
Tim,
Yeah.
you'll
Go
say what
ahead.
you remember, and I'll say
Yeah.
what I
Go ahead.
remember.
Go ahead.
And what I remember
And
is,
this isn't just about rent. This is about just having an MOU about what's the footprint of this building and the space in the building. I think that was the intent of this, all, from the very beginning, at least from my standpoint, it wasn't so much rent. The former director was all gung-ho at moving into the building, just as you stated. He also stated that he believed he had money within his budget to help with some of the construction even of the building. Because we went to the next meeting with the clerk of courts who had money as well, that we went and met with her too. That never came to fruition with helping to build the building, but certainly he was interested in being part of it and paying for just their footprint here, you know.
yeah, I don't recall that at all. I mean,
Well, that's what I recall, so.
this is about rent. It's a lease agreement.
Yeah.
There's rent in it.
Yeah.
And the big sticking point has been that you're trying to take money from the health department.
That's not what it's
for
taking
rent.
money. I mean, I think what it comes down to is just that it has been found, you know, after months of deliberation by your office, and just somehow they figured this out, that this health department was separate, that they are a separate agency, similar to the Park District, that they pay their own way for a lot of different things, that they would contribute to the existence of being in this
That's not true.
building.
Tim, this isn't like before where I'm sitting in the back and you say things, misstatements,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna correct them.
Yeah,
I'm
go
gonna sit
ahead.
here and correct them.
Go for it.
So, What the law says is because they're a combined health district,
Yeah.
you can charge them rent.
Right.
You don't have to charge them rent. They've been in this building for what, 3 years now? You have not charged them rent.
That's right.
Now, you're changing the rules after the fact, trying to charge them rent. That's your prerogative to try to charge them rent.
Yeah.
But they need a lawyer to make the arguments, A, whether they should pay rent, B, how much they should pay in rent, and C, whether they detrimentally relied upon your representations to get them into this building.
So are you trying to create an issue, a law
No, I'm not.
issue? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
No, I'm not trying to create anything.
Don't they have an APA
We,
that could advise them on this?
we can't,
And just
first of
review-
all, you have outside counsel apparently advising you. on
Well,
this.
we
I don't
need
know.
outside counsel for everything,
So,
because you're not
no,
willing to
you,
do it.
you've made that choice,
No,
but,
no, you pushed us that way.
well, you've made that choice,
No,
Tim.
that's not true.
Okay, well, it is. So, with this issue, if you want them to review a lease agreement that you've proposed to them, I cannot represent them because I would be a witness if they don't want to pay rent, which I get the impression they don't, and there were litigation, I would be a witness, they would call me as a witness in that litigation, okay? So, my office cannot represent them to review the lease agreement. How can I review a lease agreement when it's my belief that there were representations made to
What were the
them to,
representations?
that they would be given space in the building?
Right.
That's my recollection of
Right.
representations. You guys wanted them out of Building 8. That was what you wanted.
Right.
And you had to give them a place to go.
Yeah.
And you gave, listen, Tim, if the
I'm
plan
not-
was always to charge them rent,
I wasn't-
how come you didn't do a lease agreement before the building was occupied?
Listen, I didn't, like, from my feeling was, as far as the rent goes, just to cover your overhead. Just, you know, we're not looking to make money on this thing, but just for if you want janitorial service or if you want,
That's not what the lease agreement says.
Yeah, right.
At least it's you're charging them per square foot,
Yeah.
plus those other items. I mean, if you wanna calculate their utilities and
Yeah.
janitorial, and if
Yeah.
they're getting janitorial, the same services I'm getting, then
Yeah.
it's worth nothing. But if you wanna calculate those things, and, you know, I think that's a different conversation. You're trying to charge them rent, I guess. So, if you want to pursue the lease agreement, they need a lawyer, and now we're gonna be spending money on a lawyer. You know, which leads me to my other point with the rent. I mean, I've been working for the county for 12 years. This, trying to get the health department to pay rent fiasco is probably in the top 20 dumbest things
Yeah.
I've been involved in.
my thing was, originally was an MOU, just to say, listen, here is the space provided to you.
That's not what you've provided, that's not what you've sent them.
Yeah,
Tim.
that's
I mean,
what,
you-
that's my
Oh,
opinion.
well, hey,
opinion.
that's not what your
Yeah.
employees are sending
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah,
So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're literally spending all this time and money, and now you've spent money on outside counsel, now they're gonna have to get outside counsel. Spend all this time and money to take money from the taxpayer's right pocket and put it into the left pocket, okay? It's the same pair of pants. It's all the taxpayer money. Why are you spending all this time and effort? Jerry and Linda have been like to 8 health department meetings. Why are we doing all of this for the same group of taxpayers, so you can get another 50 grand a year that you
Right.
control? I mean, it's totally ridiculous. It's stupid.
yeah.
So if you guys want to pursue this,
Yeah.
that's your prerogative. But what I'm telling you is, if you want to pursue it, you're gonna have to pay for them to get a lawyer to review the lease agreement and
But,
advise
so,
them.
I'm just curious though, you're saying that the commissioners would pay for the lawyer for the health department?
No, the general fund would pay for the lawyer.
Why?
Because the health department is statutorily entitled to representation from my office. I'm paid from the general fund. So if they need a
Okay.
lawyer, it's paid from the
So is
general
it a
fund.
joint application similar that you would do, say, for any other elected official? Is that what you're doing, is a joint application for outside counsel?
I mean, did you not go through your packet today? That's what's in
Yeah.
front of you.
Oh, I'm just asking you.
Why are you asking questions you already know the answer to?
Well, because I just want to hear you say it.
There are different instances, there are times where I can pursue a joint application. I don't have to do this as a joint application. But since you guys are the ones pushing the issue, because I have a conflict, I could just go to the county police court and get them assigned
It's
counsel.
like you do for Chuck Walter, where you just go straight to the judge and you don't come to this board for outside counsel.
And like I've done for Tim Grandel, which you paid those
But that
bills,
was-
Tim.
That was a joint
You remember,
application.
no, it wasn't. Remember
Yeah.
paying those bills? When
That was-
time is,
Yeah.
if I have a conflict and time is of the essence, I have not pursued a joint application. So
So you can go straight to the judge without coming to this board or the public?
that's what the case law says.
Okay.
I can go straight to the judge if there's a conflict. I've not done this, you have a joint application in front of you.
Mhm.
You can decide to approve it or not approve it.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
But you can't try to force the health department to pay for space that you gave them 3 years ago and then deny them the ability to have a lawyer to counsel them.
Right.
I remember years ago when Bob Wystack, God rest his soul, he had a map of Jaga County, and if he said that if the levy didn't pass, he was gonna assess based on population per political subdivision. And I'd hate to see that, like you said, one pocket to the other. If we charge them an exuberant amount for rent, then, you know, they'll have to hit up all the townships and all the political subdivisions to pay the rent. And so, and, you know, we talked before that some of the townships are always struggling for money, so, good point. Just want to say that, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes lost on people in government that when we're spending time shuffling this money around, whether it be the CARES Act money that you spent a good portion of the meeting,
Yeah,
you know, making your statements about,
right.
many of them incorrect.
No.
And, you know, this
Were you
issue.
part of that? Was that part of your decision to move that money around, or was that just the auditor that decided to do that?
Well, I submitted my payroll like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but again, you know, the resolution says what it says.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But we're spending all this time and money. When we spend time and effort to move money from one person's control to another person's control, which you seem very intent on doing, okay? We're wasting the taxpayers' money, because it's all their money. It's not, I know you guys, well, the general fund's the commissioner's money, and then there's the health department has their, well.
This is fun.
then Tim,
I'm
why are
having a
you-
good time listening.
Yeah, I mean,
Keep going. Keep
no, then
This
why
is
are you?
fun.
Yeah,
Keep going.
I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
why are you wasting all this time and effort? You're wasting their money, Tim.
Yeah.
Hate to break it to you.
No, there's been a lot of waste of money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A ton.
Yes.
In legal counsel, yeah,
Yep.
lots and lots.
There's a mirror in the bathroom, go look
Yeah.
at it, Tim.
Yeah. That's not my.
So do you guys have any other questions on this? I mean, I think you should drop the rent issue and not pay outside lawyers, but if you're gonna pursue the rent issue, then I'm asking you to approve the joint application. So, it's your decision.
Yeah,
I'd like to see us lean that way to just have an MOU with the health board to say, this is your space as of this date. And I'm sure it's suggested where your employees park and things like that, which stairwell to use in and out. And it would save everybody a lot of time and money to make a motion like that. To just have free rent and serve the people. We wanted them here because it's the center of Jaga County.
That's right.
And it's an important issue from vaccinations to dog bites and a lot of other septic tanks and all that other stuff, the maintenance thing that, you know, it's happening. So, you know, I'm gonna throw it out there that you make a motion to have the health board have free rent, but they have to sign an MOU, their understanding of being in the building.
right. I'm totally fine with that. You know, I thought there was agreement between them both as far as some type of rent.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize that there was absolutely no rent, but I can understand what you're saying. At the
It would
same time.
trigger right down to
Yeah.
the townships and all the other
Right.
local subdivisions.
I mean, always from the very beginning, I always just agreed that, I thought there at least needed to be some type of agreement in place that just states that you're here. And here's the hours of operation, and here's the understanding of what space is yours and not, so we don't have people just commandeering certain rooms or going into conference rooms and saying, declaring this mine now. We've had that happen. So like, here's your boundaries. To me, that was always the intent of it. It wasn't even about the money, so.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to go that route, I'm happy to help the health department to work on an MOU for sure.
Yeah, okay, so, what's your motion?
The motion is to give the health board health department, free rent, but it must sign a MOU, understanding of being in the building, what square footage it has, this date, and all the other particulars whether it's parking, whether it's cleaning, or everything, all the
It's just the
details.
understanding of what.
Understanding of being here, and their responsibilities.
Okay,
That's my motion.
all right, I'll second that.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
So just to be clear, so you're saying as far as their responsibilities is that if there's a cost involved in cleaning, if there's a cost involved in utilities, what exactly are you, just clarify so I have an understanding.
So there'll be no rent, but, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I guess.
the problem with the rent, we built the building, and they're
Yeah.
part of our operation, and Jim, no disrespect, but I've had multiple conversations with Quade when he was still here, and he was very, very much engaged to wanting to come down here. My conversations always was that he would assist with costs, and that he had no problem to do the rent, and, because he felt that it would best serve the county residents and give him a facility that was, catered to what his needs were, and that he understood that that just didn't come at a zero price. That I had that conversation with him multiple times, and, that was never a question, and I think that for me, moving forward too, as far as some of the move forward with the building and the construction, was understanding also that at least some of those costs were going to be covered by them as far as, utilities and potential of having a small rent. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not looking to make money on this. This isn't a situation like what we've got worked out with the license bureau, downstairs, that is it generates, capital for the county, and it was a good move. But, I think that was my understanding always, that I would not have felt comfortable, because they had stated multiple times that they wanted to just leave Building 8. And I think Dave Blair could attest to that too, that they wanted to, just kind of leave that and basically go to their own facility, buy their own facility.
Right, they were talking about building their own
And then we
facility.
basically had this, this whole plan in place, and they felt very comfortable and very supportive of it too. So I don't know where, I wasn't involved in that official meeting that you were involved in, so I don't know, I can't answer on that or speak of it, because I wasn't there what was said. But I can go on record to say that every time I talked to him regarding that, there was always an interest. But I guess my question to you, Jim, is, you're saying this MOU, is there certain responsibility of costs that we're looking at as far as covering some of the operational stuff that's there?
I think that's the only negotiation part, is the MOU, and we have to define by law what entails in a combined health department. And then work from that, all the parameters. But it could be a two-motion thing, is like, one, you get free rent as of right now, as always, and then the next motion should be, let's work on the MOU and see and understand, and bring it back to us, so we know all the Ps and Qs.
Right,
But you're
right.
not
I know
answering
what
the
you're
question.
saying.
Is-
Yeah, you could chart, you could say, hey, if we're providing maintenance services, there's a cost to that, could quantify that and make them pay it, or say, get your own, bring in your own. I mean, the auditor brings in his own cleaning crew. So, with the utilities, you could figure that out.
Right.
But isn't that what part of the rent is, though, kind of? That's what we were trying to say.
The rent, you were charging them per square foot for space, within the
But
basement.
that's like kind of,
But,
in figuring in what your rent is when you're out, say in the real world, which I remember that Tom was talking about, maybe going out, to get a different place.
yeah, but again, to Ralph's point, this was the BMV, yeah, I agree, I mean, that's a.
I know, it's not
that's
a great idea.
That's a separate business, that's this is a county board that has the exact same footprint as the county, I mean, it's the
Yeah.
county.
Yeah.
It's not like,
No, I get it.
you're giving something to Bainbridge, or you're giving something to, and it's unfair, I mean, this is something where if their cost model changes,
Right.
they're gonna have to go to all of our constituents and get money from them, and raise their
Yeah,
taxes.
no, I
essentially.
agree with that.
So,
But I know what you're saying, though.
Yeah, we have to clarify what's in,
I guess I just wanted to hear you say it. So are you saying that you agree that there should be some kind of a dollar factor?
yes, expenses that actually cost the county.
Okay. So
Cost
like
the county, but not,
cleaning and utility expenses? Is that what you're talking about?
Whatever it says, the definition of combined health care. Just go back to the RS code, you have to identify it. And what's involved with the combined health department. And I think it's spelled out.
well, I
Well,
think
it's,
that we got our answer from the prosecutor this past summer, that if it's a joint district, we have the legal ability of charging.
correct.
And that's what he told us 5 months ago, 6 months ago, maybe more. So then, that's when we made the decision to be able to move forward, because we had that understanding from the beginning. And I think the big thing was, and it still is for me, is as far as the city of Chardon is involved, is that that's where I feel that if they're involved also, that there should be a certain dollar figure that we should not feel uncomfortable from trying to retain some of our costs, just based on the fact that they're also providing services for Chardon. And I think that has always been our feeling is that if that's the case, then that's what we were looking to do. And I'm not saying we need to gouge them, but if there's the basic costs of the square footage price of what it is to maintain and just run, with utilities and everything, that was the plan.
Yeah, I mean, they're funded by the health levy,
Right.
which all of our residents pay.
Right.
People who live in Bainbridge, Middlefield, City of Chardon,
Right.
they all pay for that service. And so, again, my point is, if you're trying to recoup utilities or maintenance costs, and I totally understand that, and I'm not here to negotiate for them, I'm just saying that you're taking money out of one pocket,
Right.
putting it in the other pocket, it's the same pair of hands. It's, at some point, what are we doing? I mean, there's a cost to, even if it's what do the utilities share a year? I mean, what's that gonna be, $5,000? I mean, how much time are we spending fooling around invoicing them, calculating it? Again, that's your prerogative, but I'm trying to encourage you to think of the bigger picture here of, it's all our same taxpayers. It'd be different if we had a couple different health departments, or we were, split. I mean, Cuyahoga County's a way different animal where, it's not, but we have a county-wide health department. It's all the same people. That's my point.
I agree with you, but at the same time, I also know nothing's free, there's a cost to everything, so.
And I guess my position is that I feel, here we are down at, goal in one, and, going into this from the beginning, I was basically made to believe, talking to Quaid, that this was something that they had, the dollars available, and made it feel very much to the point that this was going to be something that they were going to just look to do this on their own, and just not even involve us, and go someplace totally neutral and do it themselves, where we extended the olive branch to say, we could work with you and have everything centrally located to make it more convenient for the public than not, and the ability of our other departments also, if they needed to have a situation to work with them, that we would facilitate that, that construction to accommodate what their needs were. So that's why I'm just saying that's from the beginning. I always was under that, understanding of, and that thought process that, that was something that they, were looking to do, so.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I would just mention, maybe a bit of a sore subject with the health department, but they had some legacy issues that existed before Tom Quaid.
Right.
That the current board had the courage to take on and realize, hey, we were overcharging all these people, or charging them for stuff we weren't doing.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on my money.
Yeah, I mean, Well, I think they send a lot of it back. I mean,
I haven't gotten mine yet.
there's millions.
I've got
At
probably
least a million,
10,
seven
15
figures.
years of inspections that never occurred in my business.
Yeah, I mean, I would talk to them, because I know that they spent a lot of money
Yeah.
to remedy that.
Yeah.
And to their credit, but I think they had a pretty healthy balance sheet, 5 years ago. But again, I think the current board did the right thing, took that issue head on, and worked through trying to get that money back to people. I don't know, maybe the people that sold your building to have that check.
Maybe.
I want to ask them.
It should be in Lennon Machinery. I
So, but so I think that's part of the dynamic here, is that they're not really flush with cash, as
No.
far as I can tell. So,
So, I don't know how the conversation's been going with the Board of Health or not, as far, on this subject, and, I don't know where they're at with this. Jim, have you had recent discussion with them as far as what their feeling is on up to this point where we're at? Or Adam, or Carolyn, you're here, could you elaborate on that, what your feeling is about all this, or?
I don't speak for the entire Board of Health. I think
Yeah.
what Mr. Flays was getting at point to is probably correct, is that, Mr. Quaid could have said those things. The only way we have money to do anything is to raise fees. Because we have not raised the levy, I think it's 20 years now. It's the second lowest levy in the county. We've taken steps to make sure actually fees are coming down, not going up. Any cost that we incur, is there funding for it? I mean, it's not really there now. What we do is we raise fees to the entire public. They would then pay those fees, that would offset any increase in expenses.
I mean, you're running that close on, say, a 20,000 a year or something?
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
realigned, so our fees technically are supposed to only cover the costs that are incurred. They're not supposed to generate dollars. So we've lowered almost all of our fees so that they just cover the expenses related to them. At zero rent, if there was rent, those fees would have to go up to whatever, I'd have to figure out all the different fees together. And some of the programs can't cover rent.
Okay.
So those programs would come out of the general fund, which is the levy.
Yeah.
More
Well,
or less.
that's different than what we were, initially, maybe Tom at the time thought he could swing this.
well, they had, I mean,
Yeah, like he was talking
again,
about
his
contributing. to the building.
predecessor,
Yeah,
I think I'm blunt.
Yeah.
I think his predecessor was overcharging people and had built up a huge sum of money. I mean, I know the Budget Commission we were after them, before he left.
Mhm.
And then, Tom came in and said he was gonna address that, then COVID hit,
and then he was
then he
gone.
was, maybe by his
We
own
won't talk
doing.
about it again. But, no, and I agree with what you said too. The board has done a very good job, and Adam, in really taking a ball of twine that was all knotted up and trying to make it straight again. They've done a pretty good job at doing that, I think, from what I can tell, from the outside looking in. And it just, I think, my 2 cents, whenever we started talking about this agreement, wasn't about rent, really. My thing was just more about your space, defining it, here's the hours of operation, so on and so on. Just basically, here's your existence here, with the understanding that maybe there would be some dollar amount associated with things that go on in this building that may cost you, especially, if it's any type of outfitting of space or expansion of space or, any construction. I would think that would fall back on them, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's unfair to say, hey,
Yeah.
you wanna build a wall or
whatever.
can reconfigure your space,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to come up with that money. Yeah, I don't think that's unfair. Again, this is your prerogative. You can charge them rent, you can charge them utilities, you can charge them for the maintenance people. Legally, you can charge them for all that stuff.
Right.
Just when the health district comprises the exact boundaries of the county, which you represent, and it's the same pot of money essentially
Yeah.
from our taxpayers.
Yeah, we're not looking to hit them.
Yeah, I don't know what what are we doing? How much time and money are we gonna spend on this?
I agree.
So that's my only point, So I would love for you to waive their rent, look at an MOU, maybe recapture some of those expenses if you want, so we don't have to waste money here. I think that would
Yeah, I mean, I would
make me,
like to not get outside counsel for this, that's for sure. I mean,
I don't want to either.
Yeah.
Could you read back the motion?
So I have, for clarification, I have no motion that was on item number 15, which was brought for Commissioner Prosecutor Blaze for the application for appointment. So we are going to turn that, the option at this point.
So we can just table it, we don't really need a motion for anything.
There's no motion on his joint application, it doesn't. I have a motion that was made by Commissioner Dvorak and seconded by Commissioner Lennon that was to not charge rent for the health district, but request an MOU for an understanding of building usage and space, including parking, square footage, with a clarification from Commissioner Spitaleri on following the rules of a combined health district for costs regarding like janitorial services and utilities.
Because so what you're saying is, just so I'm clear, that there could still be some expenses related to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was the clarification.
Right.
that Commissioner
Ralph,
Spitaleri
what do you
asked
think?
for.
No, that's not, I
Okay.
guess I wanted to just
Okay.
grab it out on.
Get that in there.
Okay, so I had a vote from Commissioner Lennon and Commissioner Dvorak, but I had no vote from Commissioner Spitaleri.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Jim.
Okay, I got the next one, better news. Okay. In the ongoing courthouse construction, so as you recall, that on May 27th of 2022, the county and the city of Chardon entered into an agreed judgment entry resolving a number of issues. But paragraph 8 of that judgment entry talked about the city's contribution towards the courthouse expansion/renovation project, which is towards public infrastructure, site work, and beautification of the square involving the expansion renovation project, and that there was a $2 million cap on those. It's 10% capped at $2 million. So we had gone through the process, and Adrian has been very helpful on this. We had been going through the process of sending the bills to the city. There was an initial delay, but, and I don't know if this is still the case. Is Adrian still here?
Yeah, he's back. He's here.
Lingering in the hallway. I think they're actually ahead of schedule right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're actually ahead of where they should be in payments on the 10%. So bills have been, yeah, Chardon's actually ahead of their payment schedule. But as they've been coming in, so, part of the problem is, we had a meeting which involved a very spirited discussion that Adrian and I were at with Laura and the mayor and the city manager, and I think their city engineer, and they have outside counsel for this. After that meeting and after our discussion, we did come together and try to come up with, instead of going through all these bills and trying to figure out what fits into those categories, the city was very upfront with me in the end about, hey, we made this commitment. At this point, it's going to be $2 million. Let's just figure out a way to just change this so we just pay the $2 million. And so what this does, it should be in front of you here, it just changes paragraph 8 to this, which again, I helped draft paragraph 8, so initially that would be my bad. Instead of making it this, lawyer speak and having to do accounting, we're changing it to, hey, they're paying the $2 million, they've already paid about $600,000, they're gonna agree to make another $1.4 million in payments, and then we set up a payment schedule. $250,000 December, January, February, March, April, and then the $150,000, $11.75 balance in May.
That's smart.
Which, yeah, I thought was, Laura in my office really worked on this new language. The city and the mayor were very reasonable and worked with us great on this. And I'm highly recommending that we move forward with this. So I would amend the judgment entry, we would amend paragraph 8, it would be replaced with that language that's in front of you. And then we would just start getting scheduled payments next couple weeks, next month.
So they've already put in close to 600,000. Yeah.
So, which is actually, according to our calculations, a little more than 10% of what we've already paid, so they're actually ahead of
So
us.
from here until March of 2025, they'll be making payments of
May.
quarter mil. or
Quarter mil
May,
through
May,
April.
yeah. And then May will be 150 to make the balance.
Yes.
Yeah, that's smart. That way you're not nitpicking over every, like, does this fit whatever architectural design or whatever they were saying?
Yeah, there was all the,
Vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, which, you know, again, it would have, you gotta remember, way back when we did this, I mean, this was a really an unknown quantity, what was, you know, we didn't have a plan yet. So now I think it's pretty clear what's going on, you see it.
And they're happening.
Yeah, and, so, and I think
No, that's good.
it's a good way to resolve this, and then you have certainty too, when the money's coming in, which I think was a big thing for Adrian. So.
And the contractor too. Doesn't matter.
Well,
Got there, but-
you're on the hook, but at least you know what your cash flow is when your cash flow's going out.
That's right.
I mean, you don't have certainty from the contractor, but at least you have certainty from the city.
And, you know, this is something too that, you know, might as well just talk about it, but, you know, and this will help go towards lowering that, but, you know, when we were, you know, in the knee-deep in this with Shard in the courts and everything, I remember talking to you about this, and, you know, the 15 million, I know it wasn't a hard ceiling as to how much, you know, but plus or minus 10% or something is kind of what I was hoping for. This thing has gotten legs and is kind of grown bigger than what, at least in my mind, that's just my opinion, I guess. You know, it's getting close to north of $20 million, this project. I mean, and we haven't even talked about the inside yet, you know. This will go towards helping that, but, you know, in a construction project like this, you know, so from the Board of Commissioners, you know, we sit here and we see the financials come in and there's request number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, you know, but is there, I guess my question is there anything holding this in check? I know we had an estimate and such, but it seems like the estimate just was a speed bump that we ran right over and we're just keep on going. Is there anything to say that this is not going to continue on and on and on?
Well, you know, I'm not as familiar with all the details as probably some of you are. I mean, again, when we sat there back, you know, a couple of years ago, in my mind, I figured it would be $15 to $17 million. That's kind of what was in my head. That's probably, you know, now again, the city's contribution's gone up because it's a percentage, so, but, you know, now that I think it's probably gonna hit 20, I mean, the big difference between when we were sitting there a couple of years ago and now is the footprint was enlarged, okay? And I think that is a big driver of the cost increase here, because when the judges sat down and the clerk of courts and probation and everybody sat down and looked at what type of square footage they would need to accommodate the really safety and security upgrades that are necessary. I mean, the current situation, there's just dangerous and unacceptable.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, we have a heartless felon going on trial on Monday, and everybody enters and exits through the same door in that courthouse.
Yeah.
The jurors, defendant, you know, and so we don't have a holding cell in there. I mean, it's just crazy.
No.
So it's been a huge issue. In order to solve all those issues, do the Sally Port the right way, again, everybody, the fire department had impact on this. You know, when you start bringing all those people to the table, I think that's what drove it up. It's not like, I'm not seeing that the judges came in and said, hey, I want mahogany in my courtroom or fancy finishes, you know. It was the footprint is what drove the price increase.
And those type of changes are very expensive. I mean, it's just, you know, even just the excavation work and foundation work. And I know when they were trying to marry the building up, they ran into some problems that drove the cost up, right? There was some.
The footer was much bigger than.
Yeah, so, and they couldn't tell that, you know, until they cracked it open, right? Until you get in there. But I guess you know, just going forward as, you know, into 2025 and beyond, is there, you know, just an understanding, I hope there's an understanding from everyone that there is some type of budget in place.
I don't know that, is there really that much left that's left unaddressed at this point? I mean, I feel like.
No, anything going forward with change orders, you know, any small change orders.
Yeah, but I
We
think,
have a, yeah, we have a substantial contingency that we haven't even touched yet.
Okay.
In that too.
Okay.
Yeah, all the finishes are picked out and expenses are anticipated, things
yeah,
like that.
limestone and bricks are on site, I mean, everything's,
So so let's say, just for spitballing, let's say, call it 20 million bucks, we're getting 2 from Chardon, right? So the contribution from the county is about 18, I don't count on that, but that's just kind of where we're at. We're around 18.
We're around 18
Okay.
for the county side, yes.
Okay.
But some would look at it as we're getting $10 million from ARPA funds, $2 million from Chardon. We're getting a $20 million building for $8 million. I think other counties would say, boy, that's pretty good.
again, I think I've said this before to some of you, or, to me, the big win here is, you had a serious situation that needed to be addressed, and should have been addressed probably 30 or 40 years ago.
Oh, it was a lot.
You know, when they moved probate juvenile out of there, which was like 15, 20 years ago, like 20 years ago, when they made that move and redid the annex, they really didn't address the courthouse at that time. It needed to be addressed, and you did this, you completely addressed it, you did it the right way, you expanded it, and you didn't raise anybody's taxes or borrow money.
Mhm.
That's unbelievable.
That's big, yeah.
I mean, Cuyahoga County, now granted, that's a different animal, but again, they're bigger. Look at Cuyahoga County, I mean, they're struggling with, they don't even have the ability to borrow what they need to do
Yeah,
you know,
tap
to
down.
do their courthouse.
Stuff they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, their courthouse is, you know, nobody's been in it, but it's,
They
No,
have,
the county's been smart.
Lake County has marble walls in there.
The county definitely's been
Yes.
smart in that, and that's the impressive thing, the balancing act, I think, smart budgeting years back, and we tested Dave Lair really too, this was part of your thinking long, long before any of us were here, I think, but this stuff needed to be addressed, it should have been addressed 30 years ago to carry us into the future, but, it was just kick the can, there was a lot of indecision, and that's what, with your help, Jim, and this board over the last probably, 7, 8 years, is to been able to really make some monumental strides as far as infrastructure that can carry this county into, the future, 30, 50 years down the road. The courthouse, this building.
you didn't raise
and
$1 in
raise
taxes.
So that's,
I mean,
not a lot of counties can, I don't know,
is there any? I
or a
mean,
levy, we didn't put a levy on or
No.
anything, or
you did not raise
sales
one,
tax or
nothing.
anything, so that's pretty impressive, I mean, that's very impressive. And that's, what that is the effort of, as a whole, when everyone works together, that's when good stuff can happen, for sure, so, I appreciate you guys for that, and everybody.
The only thing I would add to that is, I think it's a good thing that it didn't happen 20 or 30 years ago. We'd have an underground courthouse right now. If it had.
I mean, it took one of the commissioners filing a lawsuit against the county to stop that, but, yeah, that was a horrible idea,
Yeah.
so.
We'd be dealing with a lot different problems as underground courthouse.
Yeah.
But what I think you're not missing is what the cost is gonna be one day when we could have done this the right way and redone this from ground up because of what the cost, and included what some of the other buildings that we're gonna have to deal with
That's,
down the road.
I agree.
And I think that's, when you look at what we were putting into it and what new construction would have probably costed us to just kind of do this the right way instead of Band-Aid approach, I think we need to not kid ourselves either.
Yeah, I agree, there's still some very sore spots as far as facilities go on the square, as you know, those spaces are gonna have to be addressed at some point, and, the reality.
And it'll be a different conversation than we are singing Kumbaya to each other right now.
No, I get it, but at the time too, with I think to, do a major lift, a $60, $70 million project is probably what we were looking at, I think, back then, right? To do the courthouse and move everything off the square.
Yeah, probably more than that.
Or maybe
This
more,
is-
I don't know.
Because this was 30 and the
Yeah.
courthouse is 20,
Yeah.
so, but your debt service on this too, you're getting away with
Yeah.
murder on that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
so, I mean, you're
Yeah.
paying, we're earning
The
10
bar.
times on our money in the bank than we're paying in our debt service, and, what is it a year on, is it like 1.3 million is our payment or something?
Yeah.
Our debt service?
1314.
I mean,
A year.
it's crazy, but you know, what are we making in interest? We're making almost $5 million
Mhm.
on our money a year.
Yeah.
We would have been able to qualify for that with the whole project.
Maybe, I mean, you know, I don't know how much we could have financed. I mean, financing 80 million's a lot, who knows? You're right, I mean, there's an argument to be made there.
And I mean, I don't know if we're really, I think that the reality of really kind of having that campus setting, we're still all over the county, you know. We're not a one-stop shop, you know, where we could have had everything there, you know. And kudos to the commissioners that were before us, you know, that had that vision. And listen, I'll take it to the end when I'm done here. I don't think that this was the right move as far as if we had done it right the first time and had everything all done. And I think that, you know, we caved to a lot of political pressure during that time, and it is what it is.
The goal is still to get to 2 campuses. Or we'll get there.
I was hoping 470 would be bulldozed by the time I was leaving.
Yeah, that's probably where the mire should be built right now.
Maybe this new bulldozer we bought today, we can go there and run it over.
You can try it out.
Yeah. That was.
Okay, so you gotta vote on the amendment, or authorizing me to amend.
Yes, okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Yeah, that's a good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, take care, have a nice Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
guys.
These-
I'm not gonna pick this one.
Morning.
Good morning.
This is a warrant.
Yes.
Okay, number 17, this is for our grant for the Victims of Crime Act, it's the Victims Advocate. The grant award is $39,565, the local match then is $7,913, and there's actually 2 of them because of the way the fiscal year goes. This is the same grant from every year.
Goes to good use, for sure. Make the motion to approve?
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
All right.
Long time no see.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 18, I would want to just read that.
I'd like to make a motion to table it for at least a week. There's so many details and specifications that it's unable.
Sure. Yeah, if you want it to come out and look at it, that's all.
I will.
All right, awesome.
Which one's that, Jim?
Table, look, item 18. Block foundation repairs.
Oh, okay.
There's more details that haven't been
Okay.
brought forward.
Okay.
And I want to study.
Okay, all right, I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Number 19, this is just for the communications boxes on Ravenwood and Merritt. When we were helping the engineer's office locate the utilities over the summer, we had a lot of issues finding the boxes because they were between 6 and 12 inches underground. So this is just to install risers on those boxes, so in the future we can find it relatively easily.
Mm-hmm. Not to exceed. Okay, all right, so moved.
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep, you too.
Morning.
All right, I have 2 items, number 20 and 21. Both are professional service agreement contracts. The first one, item 20, is the maintenance department is requesting the board approve and execute the agreement for for professional design services with Tech Incorporated Engineering and Design to provide professional design and contract administration services related to the offload of standby power for the West Geauga Senior Center building, the MSI wastewater treatment plant, and the well pump serving the MSI building from the existing shared Metzabom standby generator to a newly installed dedicated standby generator and fuel source located at 8090 Cedar Road, Chesterland, for the period November 26, 2024 through November 30, 2025, in an amount not to exceed $21,000.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yeah.
Commissioner Spillier?
Okay, and the second one, item 21, is the maintenance department is requesting the board approve and execute the agreement for professional design services with Technical Assurance Incorporated to provide professional design and contract administration services related to replace the Geauga County Maintenance Barn Roof located at 13211 Aquila Road, Chardon, for the period November 26, 2024 through November 30, 2025, in an amount not to exceed $81,200.
Okay, so moved.
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort? Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item is partial payment number 14 for the courthouse project to Infinity Construction in the amount of $1,053,105.
So my question again on this project is, where are we at? What's the estimated projected dollar amount for this project?
Right now, the estimated is just over 20 million, it's like $20,005,000 is pretty close in that range. And like I said, we still have a contingency that was in those numbers that is around $500,000. We have not utilized that yet.
Now, or do we want to?
No, I'm doing everything I can to keep them from even looking at that number.
So, just so I can wrap my head around, what the $2 million from Chardon will lower.
We'll bring that number down to
Okay.
8 to just over 18.
Okay. And we paid close to what, about 14 or 15 million so far?
No, we're at,
That's what I tried to look
I'm trying to remember what that number was.
Total cost of work to date was 6.4. Plus amount retained was 640.
Okay.
Previous payments of 4.7 million was, so balance to finish with plus retained just like 14.1.
This is payment number 14.
Yes.
Okay, so moved.
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Morning.
Morning, Don.
How's everybody?
Good.
Splendid.
We're doing that.
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. We have a couple things here. We have 4 board members whose terms have come to the end. The first one is a new person being assigned onto the board, which is number 23, Tristan Sanchez. One of the new Ohio Revised Code is that one of our board members has to be a client, has to be somebody with developmental disabilities. And, Tristan applied. We went through and do like we normally do, is post the newspaper, and then those who apply, we interview those who apply, and then make our recommendation to you guys. He is replacing Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson's been 3 4-year terms, so he's served 12 years. He's reached his term limit, and so he's coming off the board, and that's a prime time to do the replacement that's now required by Ohio Revised Code.
So Don, one of the things, I talked to one of the candidates, Mike, or no, Bobby, and he had applied and he had gotten, discouraged in the sense of wanting to do it because when he was told that he would have, like 150 to 200 pages of reading for every meeting that he'd have to do.
his question specifically was, how much reading was there? And I went through it, I said, it depends on how much each person's reading. I said, our board packet was 100, and I think it was 162 pages for the previous meeting.
Okay.
And so I gave him an example of those things. And I said, if you look at the other things that we put out, where we have contracts or we have other things that we put out, stuff that comes from the state where they're saying, here's the update to the rules and the laws. I said, you could see a lot more than that, depending on how much you read into those things. His concern was that his reading ability is not where
Right.
he felt comfortable.
So,
But
so
I,
what exactly is, so that, as far as having, you know, somebody that is a client, you know, what is the, like, what's the goal with that?
this was a political advocacy group
Right.
in Columbus that made the change. They pushed the state legislator to make the change. At that time, the situation is that they felt that having a client on the board allowed the clients to have say in what the board does. In the past, we have been required to have 3 parents or family representatives on the board, one for the children's services, one for adult services, and one for residential services. This has taken away the adult services side of things, so that having a client on means that the parent that has to have the adult services is no longer required. They basically took one of the required positions and replaced it, saying, well, a client who potentially receives services fits that role. So that was the advocacy by a group of client advocates in Columbus who got that language put into the law. I don't want to step on feet or anything like that, and there are certainly a lot of conversations about how the conflict of interest and when they can vote and when they can't vote, because certainly there's times with contracts that they'll have to abstain from voting, because they'll be directly involved in the service that we're
They'll be
potentially.
recipients.
Yeah, so there's going to have to be those type of things before. There were times that some of the parents had to do that anyhow. Our most recent, we approved a contract and one of the parents had to abstain because his child was part of those receiving that service. But in this case, it could be even more. It could be much more frequent. Overall, I don't think it'll change the board a ton. There's a 7-member board. So that I'm sure that there'll be times that the other board members are going to have to guide and help. There's times that there's going to be conflicts that'll have to be worked through. But I think we'll work through that all right. I don't see it being the end of the world. I don't see it damaging the board DD. We're still going to provide the services. And it's not a bad thing to have a client with an impact who says, this is what I saw. They're able to speak to the issue.
Okay.
The other 3 are all reappointments. They have terms left in their term limits, and they've had experience and they're good folks.
Now, is there a criteria from the Ohio Vice Code? Does each one of them fit a certain criteria? Like, are they all from the public? Are they all from this? What?
They're a mixed bag. You are required to have, well, we were required to have 3 parent reps, and minimum of 3 parent reps, or family reps. The client now takes one of those spots. Our current mix, and you have some changes that are allowed with that. Ohio Revised Code says that you should reflect your community's mix, your community's, in other words, racial. If we had different racial mix, if there was a minority situation, we should have somebody on the board who represents that. We have one position that we do maintain. Martin Miller is an Amish representative, because the Amish are a significant portion of our county. We do reserve that to kind of be an Amish representative. We have 4 who are parent reps, the other 3 are community reps. And we try not to have those folks represent having somebody whose families are receiving services. I'm going to use an example because you've used Dave repeatedly. Dave is a community rep. Dave Lair is on our board. He's a community rep. Well, he has experience. His family members aren't receiving direct services with us. So he's there to represent potentially the general public. in those rounds. We'd like to have at least 3 of those on the board, so it's a good balance mix.
So you put an ad in the paper, how long ago?
Let's see, for the Tristan's position, we put it back in either late August or early September. I don't have that information right here, but we ran it for 2 weeks.
That probably. I just wish that you could communicate with our office, because they're the county commissioners' appointees.
Okay.
And we didn't know, I didn't know until 48 hours, and I called you and asked you
Yes.
a bunch of questions, because I honestly didn't know about the process, and I think we can do better. As soon as you put the first newspaper ad out, let our clerk know that this is what you're looking for, and it's a reminder, folks, hey, in October, we have to have these appointments.
Mhm.
I think we could do a lot better.
Okay. We can do that.
Because when I actually reached out to Don in September, because I saw that there was 5 appointments that were up, they were already in the process of advertising and working on that process on their side.
Right, because it just seems to be at 96,000 people in the county, and these are your preferred choices. And we didn't have enough time to talk or even think about the choices that we're gonna make. So, just the process.
Sure.
Could be better.
Yeah.
True.
Sure, the 3 reappointments, and I think Marty Miller was one of the ones, he was interviewed by at least a couple of you back when we had that. In the past, there's been some who've interviewed with you and actually gone through. I know in the judge's case, the judge appoints 2 of our board members. We do the same thing with them. We send everything over, we communicated, kind of like we did in September with you, it's saying, hey, listen, we have this one position that's coming off, and here's how we traditionally do it. And if you want to change that, we're happy to change that. I mean, the law 5126 outlines how you do that. If you guys want to work within that, then I'm fine with that.
Sure.
No, I appreciate all that. I know these are volunteer positions, and a lot of effort and work goes into, these board members put into this, and I've always been impressed by all the different boards across the county, the dedication of many of the people that are on there. And just from our appointments and years gone past, there's times when it's been difficult just to find people, even after advertising and putting the word out and talking, communicating with people we know, trying to get people to do it. That's another, it's difficult sometimes, but.
We're pleased that this time, just by advertising and putting it out for people to know, we've had multiple applicants in each of the positions.
Yep.
Bobby said he didn't want to because of all the reading. I don't want to go too far into that because I don't want to break confidentiality. But the reading is one of the issues that was brought up. And do I know that all the board members necessarily read everything that's put out? I don't know. I don't know how much everybody reads everything that's put out. There's a lot that gets put out from the state and from us. Tristan was the second candidate. The other candidates were judge appointments, and we ended up with 2 very good candidates for the judge appointments. We didn't have to go out and recruit people this time. A lot of times we have to recruit.
What is it, is it 7 or 9?
We have 7.
7,
You guys appoint 5, and the probate judge appoints 2.
Good. Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, we'll have to make motion on each one of these individually, or should we?
I would do them individually.
Yeah, okay. And read,
Number 23 is the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board appoint Tristan Sanchez to the Board of Developmental Disabilities for a 4-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028.
okay, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle?
Due to the lack of communication, I'm just gonna make a point that I'm gonna abstain from all 4 members to bring a better connection with the commissioners in your office now. So I abstain.
Commissioner Boyle?
Right.
Number 24, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board reappoint Yushi Kepper to the Board of Development Disabilities Board for a 4-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Abstain.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board reappoint Dave Lair to the Board of Developmental Disabilities Board for a 4-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Abstain.
Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board reappoint Martin Miller to the Board of Developmental Disabilities Board for a 4-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Abstain.
Commissioner Spillier?
The next,
Hello.
go ahead and see, I'm sorry, I didn't see you in the
You
audience.
see me here? I am here. Good afternoon.
Just about.
Yeah, I know. I'm here to request the board approve the promotion of Megan Erickson to the position of the benefits specialist in the Commissioner's Department at the rate of $24.02 with a 180-day probationary period.
Okay. Very good. All right, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As you know, some time ago, the law changed regarding the ways that credit cards can be used by governments to allow for more latitude. Up until now, we've only been allowed to use credit cards for travel-related expenses. The law now allows us to have a much broader range of things, so we have created a policy that reflects that, particularly in response to requests from people like the sheriff who wanted to have the ability to use that, or GFS where they have emergency situations where employees have been using personal credit cards to pay for things while an emergency gets played out. The law requires that this policy be developed in consultation with the auditor, and our version went back and forth 3 times, so there was ample consultation with the auditor in the creation of this. So there's 2 things. We have to do it by resolution, so the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute Resolution 24-200, adopting the Geauga County Board of Commissioners credit card policy pursuant to ORC 301-27 to be effective January 1st, 2025.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Item 29, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board adopt the credit card use policy to be effective January 1st, 2025, and place it in the Geauga County Personnel Policy Procedure Manual.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Hey,
Thank you.
all right.
I just wanted to add real quick, so I know that Jim abstained from that vote, but I wanted, myself personally, I've been involved with, I know these board members that we did reappoint today, and, I've been involved in actually, interviewing them in the past and discussing it, so, my comfort level is pretty good with that in place, and the only question I had was with Mike, so, or not Mike, but Bobby. But, I think that just in the future, we just do something where maybe we do something jointly or relook, but my position of being comfortable to move forward on this was the fact that I know every single one of these members, and I know the job they've done. I've worked on them on multiple projects. One of the projects alone was the support that they had with our sheriff's office and Department on Aging when we went down to obtain that building, there where we have a great use of that building for your agency and other agencies also, and also the Department on Aging that does it, that they were super supportive of reaching out to assist the rest of the community. And so just wanted to, you know, whenever there's something that gets abstained, I wanted to make sure that I clarified my position on that of being able to, you know, publicly state that my experience with those people, you know, Dave alone, I mean, just the experience that I've had with you, and I think it's a big plus to being able to have you on that board with your experience and background, and also the fact of you having some experience on the other side of that, of DD also, of dealing with that within your own family. So I appreciate what you're doing, Dave, and appreciate what you guys are doing. So, thank you.
And my reasoning is not about people, it's about policy. So I think there's always an open communication between Don Rice and myself, so I just think it could be better.
I don't take that in any way negatively.
Okay, thank you.
If you would like to meet with me after, I will happily talk through whatever you'd like to do.
I'll call you.
Yeah, I'm happy to do whatever.
Thanks.
I have one thing. When I started as commissioner, the county commissioners allowed my expenses to be paid to go to the CCAO Winter Conference, and I think we should do it with our new incoming commissioner, to have her go down and we pay for her gasoline or food or whatever it takes. So I think it's impactful.
Oh,
To go
absolutely.
to the CCAO Winter Conference.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll make that a motion.
Yeah, for sure. I'll second that.
Commissioner Lyon?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Aye.
When is their,
December 4th.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good, educational, time, you know, that's a good one for you to go to. Well, don't they have the, don't they have one for the incoming new commissioners? Is that the one? Or
New
no?
commissioner training will actually be the end of the last week of February, I think it's the 24th to the 26th.
That's the one I was thinking of, that's the
But
good one.
John Weiss told me that.
But there is a class in
They
Columbus.
have a meeting on Wednesday morning before the actual conference starts,
Mhm.
which I didn't know about until later.
Okay. If you can relay that on to Carolyn, that'd be great.
We'll have to figure out what we're
Yeah.
gonna do. We may have to do a special time.
Yeah, I did it, it was good. I mean, you learn a lot. It's like drinking from a fire hose, but you get some good information too. Yeah. And you can rely on CCAO too, you know, fall back on. They have a lot of, they've been through the ringer a few times down there.
You have another meeting that you want to
Yeah.
answer, so I'm sorry.
Hey, any questions? Yes, sir.
Speaking for myself, not for the Board of Health, I just appreciate the decision you guys made today. I think the Board of Health gave at least us prerogative that we should provide the best services possible to the public at, you know, those efficient use of taxpayer dollars, and this definitely does help us. So I appreciate you guys working together with Mr. Flays and helping us out on that. I think that's, you know, it helps us to achieve our goal by helping the community in a whole without raising taxes, because we all know, you know, where the economy is at and everything right now, it's not, you know, it's not something that's possible. So, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. All right,
I move to adjourn.
second that.
In favor?
Again.